Tim is an award-winning speaker. In fact, last week we had champagne to honor him. He's always won awards ever since the beginning of the club. Isn't that right, Rocky?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like, sometimes you just want to say, Tim, would you please step aside so that any one of us could possibly win? That's how good he is. So, he just gave me a speech that he wants to give right now. And it's on improv. Tim?
Maybe you've had this situation happen at work or some other situation where somebody asked you something and you're not quite ready for it. You know what I'm talking about, right? You're not quite ready for it. You got these ideas in your head, they're not quite perfect yet. You know what I'm talking about, Lindsay? Somebody asks you a question, you're just not there. And that's what improv is all about. And there's one major mistake most people make in improv. It's a simple mistake. Because of that, they don't really get the audience involved as much. They don't really quite say what's going on in their mind. They don't really get things out because there's something that people do routinely, and it holds them back. And maybe you're doing this already. Now, you might know what it is. You might be well aware of it. Say, Tim, I get it. I've been there. I've done that. I understand it. I've worked through that. It's not a problem for me. But if you haven't, if you're still trying to figure out what's the best way to do improv, what's the best way to bring the audience in at the beginning, it's simply this. It's all about two words. And those two words are first thought. Ken's writing them down now to make sure that when I say them later, I'm saying the same two words.
How do you spell first?
First, first thought. Because maybe this seems familiar to you too. You go through these ideas and you censor yourself. Have you ever done that? What I'm talking about? You have all these ideas crowding in your head, and maybe it kind of goes like this. You're thinking, oh, I could say this. Nah, I can't say that. What if I said this? That's crazy. What if I said something else? Oh, no, that's not going to work. And so you censor yourself and get yourself kind of all worked up. And maybe you've seen people do that. And they look kind of like they're conducting sometimes. They're like, and then they get the big crescendo. Ah! I haven't said a word. Maybe you've done it. And it's all about holding back that first thought. But here's the thing. If you get that first thought out, your mind will naturally flow. Your mind is like a stream, like a river flowing along, if you think about it. Now, I don't mean to get too zen or too weird on you. Just follow me just for this part. Your mind is like a flowing river. So if you let that first thought out, it's like you're moving a dam from a river. And you're letting all that water go. And here's the amazing things about a river. The water just keeps flowing. So once you get that first thought out, that'll lead you to the next thought. It'll lead you some sort of related thought about that thing as you keep on going through, keep on developing it. And those related thoughts finally will lead to new thoughts. And that's really the secret of improv. That's what improv is all about. It's getting out that first thought. Now you might be thinking, Tim, but I'm afraid when I get the first thought, it's not the right thought. What if I get the first thought, it's not the correct thought? What if I get the first thought out and it doesn't work? It's all right. It's called failure. And it happens. And the people who succeed, the people who develop, the people who grow, are the people who are willing to fail. And you're an entrepreneur, right, Marty? Is that fair enough to say?
Accurate.
So you get that first idea, that first thought out, and you see what happens. You say, okay, that didn't quite work as well as I want, fine. Well, maybe I'll take a different approach next time. But if you do get that first thought out and it clicks, and it works, you're going to discover when you go out there that everything just kind of flows, everything goes. And you get this habit of getting out your first thought. Get this habit of getting your first thought out in the world, you'll discover that you just take charge. Because instead of being afraid and thinking, I don't know if I'm saying the right thing, you just get out there and you are fearless. Right, Lindsay? You're fearless. You've got all these ideas, all these thoughts going on. You're saying, hey, why didn't I take that Star Trek communicator and make it a reality? I know you think it's stupid. We can do that. We can make that happen. And once you start doing that, you get that first thought out, then things start to flow. And as things start to flow, you discover that very quickly new thoughts are coming on. So if you're stuck in a situation where you're trying to get new thoughts, you're trying to be creative, and you get that first thought out, you get it flowing, these new thoughts start to happen. And as they start to happen, they start to pick up speed. As you start to pick up speed, you get more confident, more certain of what you're doing. And it's a simple process. It begins with getting the first thought out. Once you get the first thought out, that'll lead to related thoughts. And then that'll lead to new thoughts. To a whole new way of thinking. So what happens is, as you're going down this river, this channel of water that keeps on going, it'll suddenly boop, go in a new direction. You ever had that happen? You're going through and you're studying something, and suddenly you get a new idea. You know what I'm talking about. You get a new idea, and maybe it's even better than your first ideas. So you get that first thought out, and that's the creative process. You get these new things going. Right, Marty? Once you get that first thought out, and you get that stream going, you get some idea, what if we did this? What if we did that? That'll get things going, especially if you're in a situation where you're a business. You're trying to figure out, what's my next big idea, big money making idea. Get that first thought out, share it, bounce it off other people, get these new ideas going. And once you do that, you discover you're fearless, you're in charge, you know what's going on, and then you discover you've mastered the art of improv.